Jai Shri Krishna. Embark on an illuminating odyssey as you traverse the chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, from the battlefield of Kurukshetra to the profound dialogues between Arjuna and Krishna. This ancient scripture unravels the essence of existence, the paths to self-realization, and the secrets of a purposeful life. From the dilemmas of duty to the synthesis of yoga, every chapter unveils a layer of wisdom that will leave you captivated, inspired, and eager to unveil the profound revelations that await you in the final chapter. The Bhagavad Gita, often referred to as the Gita, is a 700-verse Hindu scripture that is part of the Indian epic Mahabharata. It is a conversation between Prince Arjuna and the god Krishna, who serves as his charioteer. The Gita is a profound philosophical and spiritual text that addresses the dilemmas and challenges faced by individuals in the midst of moral and ethical conflicts. Chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita sets the stage for the entire discourse. It is known as the Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which translates to the Yoga of Arjuna's dejection. This chapter introduces us to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where two groups of cousins, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, are about to engage in a great war. Arjuna, one of the Pandava princes, is overcome by moral and emotional turmoil as he surveys the battlefield. Arjuna's mind is torn apart by conflicting emotions. On one hand, he sees his relatives, teachers, and friends assembled on both sides of the war, ready to fight and potentially die. He realizes the enormity of the violence and destruction that will ensue from the battle. Overwhelmed by sorrow, compassion, and a sense of moral responsibility, Arjuna is unable to make a decision about fighting in the war. Krishna, his charioteer, observes Arjuna's distress and engages him in a profound dialogue. Arjuna's dejection is not merely a personal predicament, but symbolizes the inner conflicts and ethical dilemmas that all individuals face at various points in their lives. Thus, the opening chapter serves as a gateway to the philosophical teachings of the Gita, addressing fundamental questions about duty, morality, and the nature of existence. The chapter begins with King Dhritarashtra inquiring about the happenings on the battlefield. His charioteer, Sanjaya, uses divine vision to narrate the unfolding events to him. As the chapter progresses, Sanjaya describes the grandeur of the battlefield, where great warriors from both sides are arrayed for war. The conch shells, drums, and other instruments of war create a cacophonous sound, signifying the imminent clash. Arjuna, seated in his chariot between the two armies, requests Krishna to place the chariot in the middle of the battlefield. He wants to observe the faces of those he will be fighting against. As Krishna positions the chariot, Arjuna's gaze falls upon his kinsmen, teachers, and well-wishers. He recognizes the folly of seeking victory and kingdom at the cost of the lives and honor of his loved ones. Overwhelmed by a deep sense of compassion and sorrow, Arjuna's bow, Gandiva, slips from his hand and his limbs begin to tremble. He shares his inner turmoil with Krishna, expressing his moral and emotional dilemma. Arjuna's reluctance to fight arises from a genuine concern for the consequences of the war on both sides, as well as the principles of righteousness and duty that have been ingrained in him. In his state of confusion, Arjuna presents his reasons to Krishna. He speaks of the potential destruction of family traditions and values, the chaos that would arise from the deaths of elders, and the moral degradation that would ensue from the victory of the Kauravas. Arjuna's perspective is rooted in his ethical beliefs, and he questions the righteousness of engaging in a battle that could lead to the suffering of countless individuals. Arjuna's discourse reflects his inner turmoil, his grappling with the concept of dharma, duty righteousness, and his ethical concerns. He is willing to renounce the kingdom, wealth, and even life itself if it means avoiding the tragedy of war. His words lay bare the complexities of human nature, where duty and compassion clash and the path of righteousness appears uncertain. Krishna, in response, does not immediately provide a solution, but instead begins his teachings that will unfold throughout the subsequent chapters. He advises Arjuna to rise above his sorrow and confusion and to fulfill his duty as a warrior. Krishna introduces the concept of the eternal soul, Atman, that transcends the physical body, emphasizing the imperishable nature of the soul and the transient nature of the body. Krishna also introduces the concept of the selfless action or karma yoga. He explains that one should perform their duties without attachment to the results, focusing on the act itself rather than the outcomes. By doing so, individuals can free themselves from the bondage of desires and cultivate a balanced and detached mindset. In this way, Chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita lays the groundwork for profound philosophical teachings that Krishna imparts to Arjuna in the subsequent chapters. It establishes the theme of the inner struggle between duty and emotion, introduces the concepts of dharma and karma yoga, and initiates a discourse on the nature of life, death, and the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment. In conclusion, Chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita serves as a powerful introduction to the epic dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna. Arjuna's inner turmoil on the battlefield reflects the dilemmas faced by individuals when confronted with moral and ethical conflicts. Krishna's teachings gradually guide Arjuna toward a deeper understanding of his duty, the nature of existence, and the path to spiritual growth. This chapter sets the stage for the philosophical exploration that unfolds in the subsequent chapters of this timeless scripture. Chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita is titled Sankhya Yoga, which translates to the yoga of knowledge or transcendental knowledge. This chapter marks a pivotal turning point in the dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna, as Krishna begins to impart profound spiritual teachings to address Arjuna's inner conflict and provide him with guidance on how to navigate life's challenges. As Chapter 1 concludes, Arjuna is immersed in a state of moral and emotional turmoil on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. In the opening verses of Chapter 2, Arjuna expresses his deep inner conflict to Krishna. He reveals his confusion regarding his duty, his inability to discern right from wrong, and his reluctance to engage in the war. Arjuna is in a state of despair, torn between his role as a warrior and his ethical concerns about the violence and destruction that will ensue. Krishna, understanding Arjuna's dilemma, begins his discourse with a message of enlightenment and wisdom. He addresses Arjuna's doubts by introducing the concept of the eternal soul, Atman. Krishna explains that the soul is indestructible, immortal, and beyond the physical body. He emphasizes that just as a person discards old clothes and dons new ones, the soul casts off old bodies and assumes new ones through the cycle of birth and death. This teaching on the nature of the soul is meant to alleviate Arjuna's distress. Krishna's words encourage him to see beyond the immediate physical realm and to understand the soul's timeless existence. By recognizing the imperishable nature of the soul, Krishna guides Arjuna towards a broader perspective that transcends the limitations of the physical world. Krishna further elaborates on the concept of duty and righteousness. He introduces the notion of dharma, which refers to one's duty or righteous conduct. Krishna emphasizes that Arjuna should fulfill his duty as a warrior, as it is better to die while performing one's duty than to live while neglecting it. He highlights the importance of selfless action and the pursuit of righteousness without attachment to the outcomes. Krishna introduces the principle of karma yoga, the yoga of selfless action. He explains that performing actions with detachment from the results leads to spiritual growth and liberation. He advises Arjuna to focus on the duty at hand, regardless of success or failure. By relinquishing desires and ego-driven motives, one can achieve a state of equanimity. In response to Arjuna's concerns about violence, Krishna elucidates the multifaceted nature of existence. He explains that the soul is neither born nor does it die. It is beyond the physical body's transformations. Actions may affect the body, but they cannot harm the eternal soul. Krishna affirms that Arjuna must face his duty with courage and discipline, considering the bigger picture of the soul's journey. Krishna further contrasts the physical body with the immortal soul, emphasizing the necessity of distinguishing between the two. He explains that pleasures and pains are temporary and fleeting, and the wise person remains steadfast amidst life's dualities. One who is not affected by external circumstances, who maintains inner tranquility, is truly wise. Krishna's teachings delve into the nature of knowledge and perception. He outlines the difference between the physical senses and true knowledge. Our senses interact with the external world, but true knowledge is beyond the sensory realm. The wise person understands this distinction and remains unswayed by sensory stimuli. Krishna encourages Arjuna to cultivate wisdom and self-awareness. Krishna then addresses the concept of renunciation and the misguided notion of abandoning actions altogether. He explains that true renunciation is not about abstaining from actions, but rather renouncing attachment to the results. Detached action is the path to self-realization. Krishna emphasizes that renouncing the world physically while harboring desires and mental attachments is futile. As the chapter progresses, Krishna highlights the attributes of an enlightened person. Such a person remains unaffected by desires, external circumstances, and dualities. Krishna asserts that a balanced and composed mind is essential for attaining spiritual wisdom. He describes the state of samadhi, a tranquil mind that has achieved unity with the divine. Krishna's teachings culminate in his declaration that self-knowledge is the ultimate wisdom. He encourages Arjuna to rise above doubts and indecision and to engage in his duty as a warrior. Krishna reminds Arjuna that his duty as a warrior is aligned with his dharma, and by fulfilling it, he will attain both material success and spiritual growth. In conclusion, Chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, Sankhya Yoga, presents a profound exposition of spiritual wisdom and guidance. Krishna's teachings encompass the nature of the soul, the principles of duty and selfless action, and the importance of maintaining equanimity in the face of life's challenges. This chapter serves as a foundational text for understanding the core philosophical tenets of the Bhagavad Gita and provides Arjuna and all readers with insights into leading a purposeful and spiritually enriched life. Chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Karma Yoga, is a continuation of the profound dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna. This chapter delves deeper into the concept of duty, selfless action, and the interplay between action and spiritual growth. Krishna's teachings in this chapter provide guidance on how to perform actions without attachment and how to strike a harmonious balance between one's responsibilities and their spiritual journey. As Chapter 3 begins, Arjuna is still grappling with his inner conflicts on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He questions Krishna about the apparent contradiction between renunciation and the performance of actions. Arjuna is perplexed about whether he should engage in the battle or renounce the world in pursuit of a contemplative life. He seeks clarity on which path is more conducive to spiritual growth. In response to Arjuna's queries, Krishna introduces the concept of karma yoga, the yoga of selfless action. He explains that renunciation of actions is not the path to liberation. Instead, performing one's duties without attachment to the outcomes is the true essence of karma yoga. Krishna emphasizes that actions are an integral part of life, and it is better to engage in one's responsibilities while maintaining a detached mindset. Krishna elaborates on the idea of selfless action by highlighting the three types of individuals: those who perform actions as a matter of duty, those who perform actions with personal gain in mind, and those who renounce actions altogether. He asserts that the first type, the one who performs actions as a duty, is the most commendable. This aligns with the principle of karma yoga, where actions are performed without selfish motives and the results are surrendered to the divine. Krishna explains that the world functions according to its inherent nature. All beings are driven by their intrinsic qualities and tendencies. Just as a fire consumes wood, the world operates based on natural laws. He emphasizes that one should not disrupt the natural order by avoiding actions, but should fulfill their responsibilities with dedication. Krishna addresses Arjuna's concerns about his role as a warrior by explaining that even he, as the divine incarnate, is engaged in action. Krishna's actions are a guiding light for humanity. By performing actions as a demonstration of righteous behavior, Krishna sets an example for others to follow. He encourages Arjuna to fulfill his duty as a warrior while maintaining an attitude of selflessness. To illustrate his point further, Krishna introduces the concept of a karma, which means non-action. He explains that while actions may be performed, they can be imbued with the spirit of non-action when done without attachment to the results. In this sense, true non-action is the renunciation of the desire for the fruits of action. By relinquishing the idea of personal gain, one transcends the bondage of karma. Krishna acknowledges that while selfless action is the ideal, the human mind is prone to confusion and doubt. Therefore, he recommends the practice of sanyasa or renunciation of results. By mentally renouncing the outcomes of actions, individuals can cultivate detachment and inner peace. This practice helps them avoid the pitfalls of attachment and desire, leading to spiritual growth. Krishna's teachings also touch upon the importance of gratitude and humility. He advises Arjuna to consider himself as an instrument of the divine. Just as the body is composed of various elements, actions are a manifestation of the divine will. By humbling oneself and recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings, one can overcome the ego and foster a sense of unity. Towards the end of the chapter, Krishna underscores the significance of self-discipline and self-control. He explains that the senses are strong and can lead one astray if not controlled. The mind, when unbridled, can become a source of turbulence. Therefore, Krishna encourages Arjuna to govern his senses and mind through self-discipline and meditation. In conclusion, Chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, expounds on the principles of selfless action, duty, and the interplay between action and spirituality. Krishna's teachings guide Arjuna, and by extension, all individuals, toward a path of balanced living where worldly responsibilities are performed with detachment. The chapter underscores the importance of self-discipline, humility, and gratitude in the pursuit of spiritual growth. By engaging in selfless action and renouncing attachment to outcomes, individuals can harmonize their inner journey with their external responsibilities, ultimately leading to liberation and enlightenment. Chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Jnana Yoga, continues the profound dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna. This chapter delves into the themes of knowledge, divine wisdom, and the concept of a timeless spiritual tradition. Krishna reveals the eternal nature of his teachings and the cycle of birth and rebirth through which spiritual knowledge is transmitted to humanity. As Chapter 4 opens, Arjuna is eager to understand the relationship between Krishna's teachings and his own actions. He is curious about how Krishna, who seems to be of Arjuna's age, could have imparted knowledge to ancient sages. Arjuna seeks clarification on whether Krishna is the originator of this wisdom, or if it has existed since time immemorial. Krishna responds by revealing the concept of Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge and wisdom. He explains that both he and Arjuna have undergone numerous births, with Krishna possessing the knowledge of those past lives, while Arjuna does not. Krishna declares that he is eternal and is born when dharma, righteousness, declines in adharma, unrighteousness prevails. In doing so, he reinstates the importance of divine intervention in maintaining the balance between good and evil. Krishna emphasizes that he imparts knowledge to humanity whenever there is a need to restore righteousness and guide individuals towards spiritual enlightenment. He alludes to the concept of a divine cosmic order, dharma, that governs the universe. By fulfilling one's dharma, individuals contribute to the harmony of the universe and their own spiritual evolution. To illustrate the timeless nature of his teachings, Krishna recounts the story of the ancient sage Vivasvat and the solar dynasty's foundation. He explains that he shared the knowledge of the eternal soul at man with Vivasvat, who in turn passed it down through generations of sages and disciples. This transmission of wisdom from one generation to the next exemplifies the continuity of spiritual knowledge. Krishna's teachings emphasize the distinction between the physical body and the eternal soul. He explains that the soul is neither born nor does it die. It is eternal and immutable. The body is temporary and undergoes cycles of birth and death. Krishna asserts that understanding this truth leads to liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Krishna further elaborates on the nature of action and its impact on the soul. He introduces the concept of nishkama karma, action without desire for the results. By performing actions with detachment, individuals can break the cycle of karma, action, and its effects. This principle aligns with the teachings of karma yoga, where actions are performed selflessly and the results are surrendered to the divine. Krishna also elucidates the concept of sacrifice, yajna, as a means to purify the mind and soul. Different forms of sacrifice are prescribed in the scriptures, each with the aim of self-purification and spiritual evolution. Krishna explains that all actions, when performed as a form of sacrifice, contribute to the individual's spiritual growth. As the chapter progresses, Krishna highlights the importance of faith and devotion. He explains that individuals who possess unwavering faith and devotion to the divine attain knowledge and wisdom. Such individuals surrender their actions and outcomes to the divine will, transcending the limitations of their ego and desires. Krishna introduces the idea of bhakti yoga, the path of devotion. He asserts that true devotion involves surrendering the ego and performing actions as an offering to the divine. By developing a profound connection with the divine and viewing all actions as acts of worship, individuals can attain spiritual realization. Krishna concludes the chapter by emphasizing that those who understand the essence of his teachings and follow them with devotion attain liberation. He encourages Arjuna to rise above doubts and ignorance and to seek refuge in divine knowledge. By understanding the interplay of action, knowledge, and devotion, individuals can attain inner peace and ultimate freedom. In conclusion, Chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Yoga, delves into the themes of divine wisdom, eternal knowledge, and the significance of righteous action. Krishna's teachings highlight the timeless nature of spiritual wisdom and the transmission of knowledge through generations. The chapter underscores the importance of understanding the eternal nature of the soul, performing actions with detachment, and cultivating faith and devotion on the path of spiritual evolution. By embracing the teachings of Jnana Yoga, individuals can attain liberation and realize their true nature as immortal souls on a journey towards enlightenment. Chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Karma Sanyasa Yoga, delves into the concepts of renunciation, selfless action, and the paths of karma yoga and sannyasa. Renunciation. In this chapter, Lord Krishna expounds on the idea that both the paths of selfless action and renunciation can lead to spiritual growth, depending on an individual's disposition and understanding. The chapter begins with Arjuna's inquiry about the apparent contradiction between the paths of selfless action, karma yoga, and renunciation, sannyasa. He seeks clarity on which path is superior for attaining spiritual enlightenment. Arjuna is aware that Krishna has extolled the virtues of both selfless action and renunciation in previous discussions. Leading to his confusion, Krishna responds by stating that both paths, karma yoga and sannyasa, are conducive to spiritual growth, but their effectiveness depends on the individual's mindset and approach. He explains that true renunciation is not the mere abandonment of external actions, but the renunciation of attachment and ego. Krishna clarifies that both paths lead to liberation if practiced with the right understanding and attitude. Krishna introduces the concept of karma sannyasa, which means renunciation of the fruits of actions. He asserts that true renunciation is achieved when an individual performs actions without being attached to the results. This aligns with the principles of karma yoga, where actions are performed selflessly and the outcomes are surrendered to the divine will. By renouncing desires and ego-driven motives, one transcends the bondage of karma. Krishna highlights that even while engaged in actions, an individual who has renounced attachment and ego is akin to a true renunciant. Such an individual is not bound by the results of actions and is free from the cycle of birth and death. By transcending duality and maintaining equanimity in success and failure, one attains inner peace. Krishna further explains that the practice of selfless action leads to purification of the mind. As the mind becomes purified, it becomes an instrument to receive divine wisdom. This purity of mind is essential for realizing the true nature of the self and attaining liberation. Krishna emphasizes that both paths, the path of selfless action and the path of renunciation, are interconnected and can lead to the same goal. Krishna clarifies that while the paths of karma yoga and sannyasa share the same goal, sannyasa is more challenging to practice. Renunciation of external actions requires strong self-discipline and control over the senses. However, Krishna encourages Arjuna not to be discouraged by the difficulty of the path and advises him to cultivate a balanced and disciplined approach. Krishna's teachings also touch upon the concept of sannyasi yogi, the renunciant who engages in selfless action. He explains that such an individual, while outwardly performing actions, remains internally detached and free from desires. By maintaining a spirit of renunciation within, this person attains a state of inner harmony and spiritual liberation. Krishna then discusses the importance of equanimity in facing life's challenges. He explains that a wise person remains unaffected by pleasure and pain, success and failure. By treating all experiences with equanimity and detachment, one transcends the dualities of the material world and attains a higher state of consciousness. The chapter concludes with Krishna underscoring the value of self-mastery. He explains that those who have achieved self-mastery gain mastery over the world. The disciplined and self-controlled person can navigate life's complexities without being swayed by external circumstances. Such an individual is firmly established in wisdom and experiences inner tranquility. In summary, Chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, presents a profound exploration of the paths of selfless action and renunciation. Krishna's teachings emphasize that both paths, when practiced with the right understanding and attitude, can lead to spiritual growth and liberation. The chapter clarifies the connection between selfless action and renunciation, highlighting the importance of renouncing attachment and ego rather than external actions. Krishna guides Arjuna and all seekers toward a harmonious and balanced approach to life, where selfless action and renunciation are intertwined on the journey to self-realization. Chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita is titled Dhyana Yoga, which translates to the yoga of meditation. In this chapter, Lord Krishna imparts teachings on the practice of meditation and the cultivation of self-discipline, control over the mind, and the journey towards self-realization. The chapter delves into the depths of contemplative practice and offers guidance on attaining mental equipoise and spiritual elevation. As Chapter 6 unfolds, Arjuna raises a question about the seemingly challenging nature of the path of meditation. He wonders if the practice of meditation requires one to completely withdraw from the world, or if there is a way to engage in it while fulfilling worldly responsibilities. Arjuna seeks clarity on the methods and attitudes that lead to success in the practice of meditation. Krishna responds by introducing the concept of Dhyana Yoga, the path of meditation. He explains that meditation is indeed a profound practice that requires disciplined effort and mental focus. Krishna emphasizes that the practice of meditation does not necessitate renouncing the world. Rather, it involves controlling the mind and senses to achieve inner harmony. Krishna describes the ideal environment for meditation, a quiet and clean place conducive to introspection. He advises Arjuna to sit in a comfortable posture with a steady gaze, keeping the body, head, and neck aligned. The practice of meditation begins with withdrawing the senses from external distractions and focusing the mind on a single point. Krishna acknowledges the difficulty of controlling the mind, comparing it to taming a restless wind. He acknowledges that the mind is fickle and tends to wander. However, with consistent practice and detachment, the mind can be disciplined and harnessed to achieve higher states of consciousness. Krishna introduces the principle of abhyasa, practice, and vairagya, detachment. He explains that through repeated practice and detachment from worldly desires, the mind can gradually be stilled. Krishna assures Arjuna that even though the mind may be unruly initially, it can be brought under control through persistent effort and non-attachment. Krishna addresses Arjuna's concerns about the difficulty of the practice by acknowledging that the mind's nature is inherently restless. He likens the mind to a turbulent wind that can be calmed through steady practice. Krishna emphasizes the importance of cultivating detachment from desires and outcomes. As this mindset facilitates the practice of meditation, Krishna outlines the stages of meditation, beginning with focusing the mind on a chosen object or concept. As the mind becomes absorbed in that focal point, distractions gradually diminish. Eventually, the practitioner attains a state of dhyana, meditation, where the mind is fully concentrated and absorbed in the chosen object. This state of deep focus leads to self-awareness and inner peace. Krishna highlights the significance of moderation in all aspects of life, including eating, sleeping, and other activities. He explains that excessive indulgence or severe asceticism can hinder spiritual progress. Krishna advocates a balanced lifestyle that supports the practice of meditation without becoming an obstacle itself. Krishna addresses the question of what happens to those who strive for spiritual progress, but do not reach the final goal in this lifetime. He reassures Arjuna that their efforts are never in vain, and that the knowledge and progress made will carry over to future lifetimes. Such individuals will be born into environments conducive to continuing their spiritual journey. Krishna concludes the chapter by reiterating the value of meditation. He affirms that among all yogis, the one who is devoted to meditation with a pure heart and unwavering faith is the most dear to him. Krishna assures Arjuna that those who sincerely pursue the path of meditation will ultimately attain spiritual realization. In summary, Chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, Dhyana Yoga, offers profound insights into the practice of meditation and the discipline required to control the mind. Krishna's teachings emphasize that meditation can be pursued while living in the world and fulfilling one's duties. The chapter outlines the stages of meditation, the importance of detachment and practice, and the benefits of a balanced lifestyle. Krishna guides Arjuna and all seekers toward achieving mental tranquility and self-realization through the practice of dhyana yoga. Chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Jnana Vijnana Yoga, explores the profound relationship between the divine and the material world, delving into concepts of knowledge, wisdom, and the different types of devotees. In this chapter, Lord Krishna reveals the nature of his divine manifestations, elaborates on the attributes of different types of seekers, and emphasizes the significance of cultivating a deep connection with the divine for spiritual growth. As the chapter unfolds, Arjuna seeks deeper insight into the concept of the divine and its manifestations in the material world. He inquires about the nature of the supreme reality and the relationship between the physical world and the divine realm. Arjuna's questions reflect a yearning for a comprehensive understanding of the divine order that governs existence. Krishna responds by revealing his divine manifestations as a means to connect with the infinite. He explains that while the supreme reality is beyond human comprehension, it manifests in various ways in the material world. Krishna introduces the concept of the divine energies, prakriti, that animate and sustain all living beings and the cosmos. He describes these energies as both immanent and transcendent, encompassing the entire universe. Krishna further elaborates on the distinction between the divine and the material world. He explains that the divine energy is the source of creation, preservation, and dissolution, while the material world is transient and subject to change. The material world is composed of the three gunas, qualities, sattva, goodness, rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance, which influence human behavior and perception. Krishna introduces the concept of the four types of devotees who seek the divine. These include the distressed, the seeker of material gains, the wise, and the one who seeks ultimate knowledge and liberation. While all seekers are ultimately on a path of spiritual evolution, Krishna holds the wise seeker who seeks knowledge and liberation in the highest regard. Krishna explains that he is the ultimate goal of all spiritual paths and the object of devotion for all types of seekers. He is the source of all creation and the essence of everything. Krishna emphasizes that those who approach him with unwavering faith and devotion will ultimately realize the eternal truth and attain liberation. Krishna clarifies that the path of knowledge, jnana yoga, is the most superior, as it leads to self-realization and liberation. Through the pursuit of knowledge, individuals understand the transient nature of the material world and the eternal reality that underlies it. This knowledge enables seekers to transcend the cycles of birth and death and attain spiritual liberation. Krishna also addresses the misconceptions about his divine manifestations. He explains that while he manifests in various forms, these forms are not his ultimate reality. The divine is beyond form and attributes, and it is the individual's understanding and devotion that determine the depth of their connection with the divine. Krishna underscores the importance of surrender and devotion as a means to connect with the divine. He encourages Arjuna to abandon all notions of individuality and seek refuge in the divine. By cultivating unwavering devotion and seeing the divine presence in all aspects of life, one can experience a deep and profound connection with the supreme reality. Krishna concludes the chapter by reiterating the significance of cultivating a relationship with the divine. He emphasizes that through dedication, devotion, and selfless action, individuals can overcome the influence of the material world and attain self-realization. Krishna assures Arjuna that those who seek him with a pure heart and a focused mind will ultimately find their way to liberation. In summary, Chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Vijnana Yoga, delves into the relationship between the divine and the material world, emphasizing the importance of seeking and connecting with the supreme reality. Krishna's teachings highlight the divine manifestations, the qualities of different types of devotees, and the path of knowledge as the means to attain self-realization and liberation. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward cultivating a deep and unwavering relationship with the divine, ultimately leading to the realization of their true nature and spiritual evolution. Chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Akshara, Parabrahman Yoga, explores the concept of the ultimate reality, the imperishable and eternal essence that transcends the material world. In this chapter, Lord Krishna reveals the nature of the soul, the process of leaving the physical body, and the paths that lead to spiritual liberation. The chapter delves into the profundities of life, death, and the journey of the soul beyond mortality. As the chapter unfolds, Arjuna seeks to understand the supreme reality that underlies the material universe. He inquires about the nature of time, the cosmic cycles, and the process by which beings transcend mortality to attain the eternal. Arjuna's questions reflect his quest for profound insights into the mysteries of life and death. Krishna responds by revealing the nature of the ultimate reality, the imperishable and eternal essence known as Akshara, Parabrahman. He explains that this essence is beyond the physical world and transcends both time and space. It is eternal, unchanging, and the source of all existence. Krishna introduces the concept of the Adhyatma, the eternal self, which is beyond birth, death, and the material realm. Krishna describes the cosmic cycles of creation and dissolution, which are guided by divine laws and the forces of nature. He explains that all beings are subject to these cycles, And while the material world undergoes constant change, the eternal essence remains unaltered. Krishna clarifies that those who understand this supreme reality transcend the cycles of birth and death. Krishna introduces the process of leaving the physical body and attaining liberation. He explains that at the time of death, the departing soul's thoughts determine its next destination. Those who are attached to the material world and possess desires are reborn, while those who have cultivated detachment and self-realization attain liberation. Krishna emphasizes that the state of mind at the time of death is crucial for the soul's journey. He advises Arjuna to practice devotion and meditation consistently to attain a state of consciousness that is focused on the divine. By developing this spiritual mindset, individuals can ensure a peaceful and liberated transition from the physical body. Krishna introduces the concept of different paths that lead to various destinations after death. He explains that those who worship the divine with faith and devotion will reach the divine realm, while those who follow the path of knowledge will merge with the eternal essence. Similarly, those who seek material gains or temporary pleasures will be reborn in the material world. Krishna elucidates the significance of repetition and concentration on divine names as a means to attain liberation. He asserts that those who remember the divine with unwavering devotion and offer their actions to the supreme reality will transcend mortality and attain liberation. Krishna underscores that a dedicated and focused mind is essential for a successful spiritual journey. Krishna concludes the chapter by emphasizing the importance of the ultimate goal, realizing the supreme reality. He explains that those who understand the imperishable essence transcend the dualities of the material world and cultivate a deep connection with the divine attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death. In summary, Chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita, Akshara, Parabrahman Yoga, delves into the nature of the ultimate reality, the process of leaving the physical body, and the paths that lead to spiritual liberation. Krishna's teachings emphasize the importance of understanding the eternal essence that transcends the material world and the significance of maintaining a spiritual mindset at the time of death. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward cultivating detachment, devotion, and self-realization as a means to attain the imperishable reality beyond mortality. Chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yoga, explores the profound concepts of the most confidential and sovereign knowledge, emphasizing the nature of devotion, the universality of the divine, and the path to attaining the highest spiritual realization. In this chapter, Lord Krishna imparts teachings that transcend the limitations of the material world and offer insights into the divine essence that pervades all existence. As the chapter begins, Arjuna expresses his curiosity about the relationship between devotion, knowledge, and renunciation. He seeks clarity on the nature of devotion, the characteristics of those who possess divine knowledge, and the significance of renunciation in attaining spiritual liberation. Arjuna's questions reflect his yearning to comprehend the essence of these fundamental concepts. Krishna responds by introducing the concept of the Raja Vidya, royal knowledge, and the Raja Guhya, royal secret. He explains that this knowledge is the most confidential and exalted form of wisdom, accessible to those who possess unwavering faith and a receptive mind. Krishna reveals that this sovereign knowledge encompasses both theoretical understanding and practical application, leading to liberation. Krishna elaborates on the universal nature of the divine and the principle of non-discrimination. He explains that the divine encompasses all beings and is not confined to any particular form or entity. The divine permeates everything, from the smallest atom to the vast expanse of the universe. Krishna emphasizes that recognizing the divinity in all aspects of existence is a fundamental aspect of the Raja Vidya. Krishna introduces the concept of Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. He explains that true devotion involves dedicating all actions, thoughts, and emotions to the divine. By cultivating an unwavering connection with the supreme reality, individuals can transcend their ego and desires, leading to spiritual liberation. Krishna addresses Arjuna's questions about the characteristics of those who possess divine knowledge. He explains that those who possess such knowledge see all beings with an equal eye and harbor no prejudice or bias. They recognize the interconnectedness of all life forms and are free from ego and attachments. These individuals possess true wisdom and see the divine within themselves and others. Krishna elucidates the significance of renunciation as a means to attain spiritual liberation. He explains that renunciation does not necessarily involve physical detachment from the world, but requires cultivating an inner state of detachment. By offering all actions and results to the divine, individuals can achieve a state of inner peace and transcend the cycles of birth and death. Krishna further emphasizes the all-encompassing nature of the divine. He explains that regardless of their social status, occupation, or background, those who dedicate themselves to the path of devotion are embraced by the divine. Krishna assures that anyone, irrespective of their circumstances, can attain spiritual liberation by cultivating devotion and surrendering their actions to the divine will. Krishna addresses Arjuna's question about the difference between devotion and knowledge. He explains that both paths, devotion and knowledge, ultimately lead to the same goal. Those who engage in selfless action, practice devotion, and seek knowledge all progress towards realizing the eternal essence. Krishna emphasizes that the paths are interconnected and can be chosen according to one's disposition. Krishna concludes the chapter by affirming the universality of the divine. He emphasizes that the divine embraces all beings and is the source of creation, preservation, and dissolution. Krishna encourages Arjuna to surrender his actions and thoughts to the divine and cultivate devotion as a means to attain spiritual liberation. In summary, Chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya, Yoga, delves into the concepts of the most confidential and sovereign knowledge, devotion, and the universal nature of the divine. Krishna's teachings highlight the interconnectedness of all beings and the importance of recognizing the divinity within every aspect of existence. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward cultivating devotion, selfless action, and inner detachment as paths to realizing the supreme reality that transcends all limitations. Chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Vibhuti Yoga, explores the divine manifestations of the supreme reality and the all-pervading presence of the divine in the world. In this chapter, Lord Krishna reveals his majestic and awe-inspiring forms that manifest in various aspects of creation. The chapter emphasizes the idea that everything in existence is a manifestation of the divine and invites readers to perceive the divine in all forms. As the chapter unfolds, Arjuna expresses his desire to understand the divine manifestations that exist in the world. He seeks to comprehend the relationship between the divine and the material universe, as well as the manifestations of the divine within various aspects of creation. Arjuna's questions reflect his curiosity about the cosmic interplay between the transcendent and the immanent. Krishna responds by introducing the concept of Vibhuti, which refers to divine manifestations that represent the splendor and glory of the supreme reality. He explains that his divine manifestations are boundless and can be witnessed in various forms throughout creation. Krishna reveals that every form of excellence, beauty, power, and virtue is an expression of his divine manifestations. Krishna proceeds to enumerate a vast array of divine manifestations that reflect his all-encompassing presence. He reveals that he is the radiant sun, the moon that nourishes life, the wind that sustains all living beings, and the fire that consumes and purifies. He is the essential life force in all beings, the source of sound in space, and the intelligence within living creatures. Krishna further reveals that he is the origin of all living beings and their various species. He is the primordial serpent, Ananta, that represents infinity. He is the thunderbolt that symbolizes invincible power, and he is the sacred rivers that sustain life. Krishna emphasizes that all aspects of creation are his manifestations, reflecting his divine essence. Krishna elaborates on the qualities of divine manifestations found in sentient beings. He explains that among the celestial beings, he is the chief of the celestial deities, Indra. Among the luminous objects, he is the radiant sun. Among the warriors, he is the valor of the mighty, and among the bodies of water, he is the vast ocean. Krishna continues to enumerate his divine manifestations in various aspects of creation. He is the fragrant aroma of the earth, the brilliance of the cosmic lights, and the life force in all creatures. He is the sacred syllable Om that represents the essence of all spiritual practices, and he is the timeless, imperishable essence that transcends all temporal forms. Krishna emphasizes that his divine manifestations are boundless and cannot be comprehensively enumerated. He assures Arjuna that anyone who recognizes the divine presence in all aspects of life and in all forms of excellence is truly connected to him. Such individuals possess the spiritual insight to perceive the divine behind the appearances of the material world. Krishna concludes the chapter by emphasizing the importance of cultivating devotion and surrendering to the divine manifestations. He encourages Arjuna to offer all actions and thoughts to him, and to recognize his presence in every aspect of existence. Krishna assures Arjuna that those who possess unwavering faith and devotion will undoubtedly attain union with the divine. In summary, Chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, Vibhuti Yoga, explores the divine manifestations that permeate all aspects of creation. Krishna's teachings emphasize the all-pervading presence of the divine in the world and the significance of recognizing his splendor in various forms. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward perceiving the divine in every aspect of existence, cultivating devotion, and acknowledging the divine manifestations that reflect the supreme reality. Chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Visvarupa Darsana Yoga, presents a moment of profound revelation and transformation as Lord Krishna grants Arjuna a divine vision of his cosmic universal form. This chapter is a culmination of the teachings in the Gita, providing a glimpse into the infinite and awe-inspiring nature of the divine reality. It invites readers to explore the mysteries of creation, the interconnectedness of all existence, and the boundless forms of the divine. As the chapter begins, Arjuna is overwhelmed by conflicting emotions of reverence and fear in the face of the immense battlefield and the impending battle. Filled with doubt and confusion, Arjuna turns to Krishna, seeking guidance and clarity. He recognizes Krishna as the source of all wisdom and strength, requesting to witness Krishna's divine cosmic form. Responding to Arjuna's request, Krishna blesses him with a divine vision beyond the limitations of human perception. Krishna's cosmic universal form encompasses the entire cosmos, revealing his boundless and multifaceted presence in every corner of creation. Arjuna beholds this form, encompassing the magnificence of countless universes, the infinite array of beings, and the cycles of birth and death. Arjuna witnesses the radiance of 1,000 suns, the splendor of 1,000 moons, and the majesty of countless celestial wonders. He sees divine beings of all forms, Guds, sages, warriors, animals, and more. Converging into the universal body of Krishna, this vision showcases the interconnectedness of all existence and the divine essence that permeates every aspect of creation. Arjuna perceives the divine form's terrifying and awe-inspiring aspects, symbolizing the fierce and all-encompassing nature of the divine. He sees time itself as devouring beings, representing the cycle of creation, preservation, and dissolution. The divine form reveals both the nurturing and destructive aspects of the universe, underscoring the dualities inherent in existence. Overwhelmed by the cosmic universal form, Arjuna witnesses the grandeur of creation, and the transient nature of all beings. He realizes that his doubts and dilemmas are insignificant in the face of this awe. Inspiring revelation, Arjuna acknowledges Krishna as the ultimate source of creation, preservation, and destruction, and he surrenders himself completely to Krishna's will. Arjuna expresses his astonishment and reverence for the cosmic universal form, acknowledging Krishna's divine omnipresence and omnipotence. He seeks forgiveness for any unintentional offenses and humbly requests Krishna to return to his original familiar form. Arjuna's response reflects his recognition of Krishna's exalted nature and his deep reverence for the divine revelation. Krishna reassures Arjuna and explains that his cosmic universal form is beyond human comprehension. He clarifies that this form was revealed to Arjuna as a divine blessing, and that only through unshakable devotion and pure love can one truly comprehend and connect with such a form. Krishna emphasizes that the essence of the divine can be known through unwavering devotion and surrender. Krishna reminds Arjuna of their close relationship and his purpose as Arjuna's charioteer and guide. He encourages Arjuna to rise above fear and confusion and to fulfill his dharma as a warrior. Krishna reverts to his familiar form, alleviating Arjuna's overwhelming awe and reminding him of their shared bond. In summary, Chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, Visvarupa Darsana Yoga, provides a glimpse into the cosmic universal form of Krishna, revealing the interconnectedness of all existence and the boundless nature of the divine. Arjuna's experience reflects his journey from doubt and confusion to profound realization and reverence. The chapter invites readers to contemplate the mysteries of creation, the transient nature of life, and the eternal essence that underlies all forms. Krishna's teachings guide Arjuna and all seekers toward recognizing the divine presence in every aspect of existence and cultivating unshakable devotion as a means to attain true understanding and union with the supreme reality. Chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Bhakti Yoga, explores the path of devotion as a means to attain spiritual enlightenment and union with the divine. In this chapter, Lord Krishna discusses the qualities of a true devotee, the various forms of devotion, and the benefits of cultivating unwavering devotion to the supreme reality. The chapter emphasizes the power of love and surrender in forging a deep and profound connection with the divine. As the chapter opens, Arjuna seeks guidance on the path that leads to the highest realization. He inquires about the differences between those who practice selfless action and those who focus on cultivating knowledge, and he asks Krishna which of these paths is superior. Arjuna's questions reflect his earnest desire to understand the most effective approach to spiritual growth. Krishna responds by introducing the path of devotion, or Bhakti Yoga. He explains that devotion is an inclusive and accessible path, available to all individuals regardless of their background or disposition. Krishna clarifies that cultivating devotion involves transcending the limitations of the ego, desires, and attachments, and developing a profound love for the divine. Krishna describes the qualities of a true devotee. He explains that a genuine devotee is free from malice, envy, pride, and other negative traits. Such a person is content, forgiving, and unwavering in their faith. Krishna underscores the significance of humility, recognizing the divine presence in all beings and surrendering to the divine will. Krishna outlines various forms of devotion. He explains that those who meditate on the formless, unmanifest aspect of the divine can attain realization through self-discipline and concentration. Others may find it easier to connect with the divine through worship and rituals, expressing their love and devotion through external practices. Krishna emphasizes that both paths lead to the same goal if practiced with sincerity. Krishna compares the paths of knowledge and devotion. While knowledge leads to understanding the imperishable nature of the divine in the material world, devotion fosters an intimate and emotional connection with the divine. Krishna assures Arjuna that both paths are valid and effective, and he underscores that cultivating love and devotion is accessible to all seekers. Krishna explains the essence of true devotion. He emphasizes that those who offer their actions, thoughts, and emotions to the divine without attachment or selfish motives are true devotees. Krishna underscores the importance of surrendering the ego and desires to the divine will, cultivating a sense of oneness with the supreme reality. Krishna addresses Arjuna's concerns about controlling the restless mind. He acknowledges that the mind is indeed difficult to control, but it can be tamed through consistent practice and detachment. Krishna advises Arjuna to focus on the divine and to cultivate devotion as a means to overcome the mind's tendencies and attain spiritual liberation. Krishna concludes the chapter by emphasizing the benefits of unwavering devotion. He assures Arjuna that those who possess steadfast devotion are dear to him and receive his special grace and protection. Krishna promises to guide and support devotees who seek union with the divine through the path of love and surrender. In summary, Chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Yoga, presents the path of devotion as a means to attain spiritual enlightenment and union with the divine. Krishna's teachings emphasize the qualities of a true devotee, the different forms of devotion, and the power of cultivating a deep and sincere connection with the supreme reality. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward transcending the ego, desires, and attachments through the path of love, surrender, and unwavering devotion, ultimately leading to a profound union with the divine. Chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Kshetra Krishna Vibhayaga Yoga, explores the distinction between the physical body and the eternal soul, shedding light on the nature of knowledge, the qualities of a wise person, and the path to self-realization. In this chapter, Lord Krishna elucidates the concept of the field and the knower of the field, providing insights into the fundamental aspects of human existence and the journey towards spiritual enlightenment. As the chapter begins, Arjuna inquires about the distinction between the physical body, kshetra, and the conscious self, kshetrajna. He seeks to understand the true nature of the self, the components that make up the physical body, and the relationship between these two aspects of human existence. Arjuna's questions reflect his desire to comprehend the essence of life and the underlying reality that governs existence. Krishna responds by introducing the concept of the kshetra, the field, and the kshetrajna, the knower of the field. He explains that the physical body, along with its components such as the senses, mind, and intellect, constitutes the field. The eternal soul, the conscious self that resides within the body, is the knower of the field. Krishna clarifies that the interaction between the physical body and the soul gives rise to individual experiences and consciousness. Krishna elaborates on the qualities of the knower of the field. He explains that the soul is eternal, unchanging, and unaffected by the material world. The soul is beyond the physical senses and the mind, and it is the witness to all experiences and actions. Krishna emphasizes that understanding the distinction between the body and the soul is essential for gaining self-realization and attaining spiritual enlightenment. Krishna describes the characteristics of a wise person who comprehends the distinction between the body and the soul. He explains that a true sage perceives the same essence within all beings and recognizes the unity that transcends individual differences. Such a person is free from ego, desires, and attachments, and they possess a sense of equanimity toward pleasure and pain, success and failure. Krishna introduces the concept of jnana, or knowledge, as the means to attain self-realization. He explains that true knowledge involves understanding the distinction between the body and the soul, and recognizing the eternal essence that underlies all existence. Krishna underscores that knowledge leads to liberation and self-realization, ultimately enabling the seeker to transcend the cycles of birth and death. Krishna further elucidates the importance of self-control, compassion, and humility in the pursuit of knowledge and self-realization. He explains that those who possess these qualities create the conditions for their own spiritual growth and the growth of others. Krishna emphasizes that cultivating humility and recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings lead to true wisdom. Krishna addresses Arjuna's concerns about the role of destiny in human actions and experiences. He explains that while the material nature exerts its influence on individuals, the soul remains the ultimate controller of its choices and actions. Krishna clarifies that the soul's choices and actions are governed by the three gunas, qualities: sattva, goodness; rajas, passion; and tamas, ignorance, which shape its experiences. Krishna concludes the chapter by reaffirming the significance of knowledge and self-realization. He emphasizes that understanding the distinction between the body and the soul is essential for transcending the cycles of birth and death and attaining spiritual liberation. Krishna guides Arjuna and all seekers toward recognizing the eternal essence within themselves and all beings, cultivating wisdom, humility, and self-control, and ultimately realizing the truth that leads to freedom. In summary, Chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, Ksetra Janya Vibhayaga, Yoga, delves into the distinction between the physical body and the eternal soul, offering insights into the nature of knowledge, wisdom, and self-realization. Krishna's teachings emphasize the importance of understanding the true nature of the self, recognizing the unity that transcends individual differences, and cultivating qualities that lead to spiritual growth. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward attaining self-awareness, wisdom, and liberation through the recognition of the eternal soul within the changing field of the body. Chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Gyana Sankhya Yoga, explores the interplay between the three fundamental qualities of material nature: sattva, goodness; rajas, passion; and tamas, ijas, passion; and tamas, ignorance, and their impact on human behavior, perception, and spiritual evolution. In this chapter, Lord Krishna delves into the nature of these qualities, their influence on individuals, and the path to transcending their effects to attain spiritual liberation. As the chapter opens, Arjuna seeks to understand the relationship between the three gunas, qualities, and their influence on human behavior and perception. He inquires about the means to transcend these qualities and attain a state of higher consciousness. Arjuna's questions reflect his desire to comprehend the underlying dynamics that shape human experiences and actions. Krishna responds by introducing the concept of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, which are the intrinsic qualities of material nature. He explains that these qualities interact and manifest in varying degrees within individuals, affecting their thoughts, emotions, actions, and perceptions. Krishna elucidates the characteristics of each guna and their effects on human behavior. Krishna describes sattva, the quality of goodness, as luminous, pure, and harmonious. It leads to clarity, virtue, and self-control. Sattva influences individuals to seek knowledge, practice self-discipline, and cultivate spiritual virtues. Krishna explains that individuals dominated by sattva are inclined toward wisdom, meditation, and self-realization. Krishna explains rajas, the quality of passion, as restless and agitating. It leads to attachment, desire, and actions driven by ambition and personal gain. Rajas influences individuals to engage in intense activities, seeking success and enjoyment. Krishna notes that rajas can lead to both positive and negative outcomes, depending on the intentions behind the actions. Krishna describes tamas, the quality of ignorance, as deluding and inert. It leads to confusion, indolence, and darkness. Tamas influences individuals to indulge in laziness, neglect their duties, and be driven by delusion. Krishna explains that tamas obscures true knowledge and self-awareness, leading to a state of spiritual ignorance. Krishna explains that these three gunas interact within each individual, creating a complex and dynamic interplay that shapes behavior, perception, and experiences. The predominance of one guna over the others varies among individuals, influencing their tendencies and inclinations. Krishna elaborates on the influence of the gunas on various aspects of life. He explains that sattva leads to wisdom and spiritual growth, rajas leads to attachment and desire, driven actions, and tamas leads to ignorance and delusion. Krishna emphasizes that the gunas are inherent to material existence and are not permanent aspects of the eternal soul. Krishna addresses Arjuna's query about how to transcend the effects of the gunas and attain spiritual liberation. He explains that while the gunas influence human behavior, individuals can rise above their influence through self-discipline, self-awareness, and spiritual practice. By cultivating sattva through virtuous actions, individuals can purify their consciousness and gradually transcend the influence of all three gunas. Krishna introduces the concept of Paramatma, the Supreme Self, that transcends the gunas and remains unaffected by their influences. He explains that by recognizing the eternal self beyond the fluctuations of the gunas, individuals can attain liberation and union with the divine reality. Krishna concludes the chapter by emphasizing the importance of recognizing the temporary nature of the gunas and their effects. He encourages Arjuna and all seekers to rise above the influence of the gunas, cultivate sattva through virtuous actions and self-discipline, and strive for self-realization and spiritual liberation. In summary, Chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Sankhya Yoga, delves into the interplay of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, and their influence on human behavior, perception, and spiritual growth. Krishna's teachings emphasize the characteristics of each guna, their effects on individuals, and the means to transcend their influence through self-discipline and self-awareness. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward recognizing the transient nature of the gunas, cultivating virtuous qualities, and striving for self-realization to attain liberation and union with the eternal self. Chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Purusattama Yoga, expounds upon the concept of the eternal tree of life, its roots, branches, and leaves, as a metaphor for the cosmic order and the journey of the soul. In this chapter, Lord Krishna reveals the nature of the supreme reality, the purpose of existence, and the path to attaining spiritual liberation. The chapter invites readers to contemplate the essence of life, the interconnectedness of all beings, and the way to transcend the material world. As the chapter commences, Arjuna inquires about the nature of the cosmic tree, its roots, branches, and leaves. He seeks to understand the essence of this metaphor and its significance in relation to the material world and spiritual wisdom. Arjuna's questions reflect his yearning for deeper insights into the cosmic order and the purpose of life. Krishna responds by introducing the cosmic tree as a symbol of the material universe and the journey of the soul. He explains that the roots of this tree represent the supreme reality, the source of all existence. Its branches symbolize the various forms of life that manifest in the material world, while its leaves are the Vedic scriptures, offering knowledge and guidance. Krishna describes the impermanence of the material world. Just as leaves on a tree wither and fall, the forms of life in the material world undergo birth, growth, decay, and death. Krishna emphasizes that understanding the temporary nature of the material world is essential for recognizing the eternal essence that transcends it. Krishna introduces the concept of the eternal self, or Purusattama, which is beyond the material world and resides within all beings. This eternal self is unchanging, unaffected by the cycles of birth and death, and the essence that connects all forms of life. Krishna explains that recognizing this eternal self is the key to attaining liberation from the cycle of samsara, or the cycles of birth and death. Krishna further elaborates on the nature of the supreme reality. He explains that this reality is the ultimate goal of human existence and the source of all beings. By recognizing and attaining union with the Supreme Reality, individuals can transcend the limitations of the material world and attain spiritual liberation. Krishna underscores that true wisdom lies in understanding the eternal essence beyond the changing forms of life. Krishna explains that those who are immersed in material desires are caught in the cycles of birth and death. However, those who recognize the impermanence of the material world and seek to attain union with the Supreme Reality break free from this cycle. Krishna urges Arjuna and all seekers to transcend attachment to temporary desires and focus on realizing the eternal essence within. Krishna introduces the concept of the eternal banyan tree, symbolizing the eternal reality that pervades all existence. He explains that by understanding this tree and cutting down its roots through self-discipline and spiritual practice, individuals can attain liberation from the cycles of birth and death. Krishna emphasizes that recognizing the eternal reality is the key to liberation. Krishna addresses Arjuna's concerns about spiritual practice and attaining realization in the midst of worldly responsibilities. He advises that while individuals may engage in their duties and responsibilities, they should also cultivate detachment, self-discipline, and self-awareness. By maintaining a balanced and focused approach, individuals can progress on the path to self-realization. Krishna concludes the chapter by reiterating the importance of recognizing the eternal essence and cultivating a sense of detachment from the material world. He encourages Arjuna and all seekers to strive for self-realization, transcend the cycles of birth and death, and attain union with the eternal reality. In summary, Chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, Purushottama Yoga, presents the metaphor of the cosmic tree as a symbol of the material universe and the journey of the soul. Krishna's teachings emphasize the impermanence of the material world, the eternal nature of the self, and the path to spiritual liberation. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward recognizing the eternal reality beyond the changing forms of life, cultivating detachment, and attaining union with the Supreme Reality to transcend the cycles of birth and death. Chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, explores the contrast between divine and demonic qualities, shedding light on the inherent nature of individuals and their impact on behavior, choices, and spiritual evolution. In this chapter, Lord Krishna delineates the characteristics of those who possess divine virtues and those who exhibit demonic tendencies. The chapter invites readers to reflect on their own qualities and discern the path that leads to spiritual growth. As the chapter unfolds, Arjuna inquires about the distinction between divine and demonic qualities, seeking to understand the factors that shape human behavior and choices. Arjuna's questions reflect his desire to comprehend the fundamental aspects of human nature and the qualities that determine one's path in life. Krishna responds by introducing the concept of divine and demonic qualities. He explains that individuals possess either divine virtues that lead to spiritual growth or demonic tendencies that obstruct spiritual progress. Krishna elucidates the characteristics of those who possess divine qualities, emphasizing that these qualities foster inner peace, selflessness, and spiritual evolution. Krishna describes the divine virtues, which include fearlessness, purity, self-control, nonviolence, truthfulness, compassion, humility, and self-discipline. Individuals with these qualities cultivate harmony within themselves and with others, leading to inner peace and spiritual growth. Krishna emphasizes that those who possess these qualities are on the path to self-realization and union with the divine. Krishna contrasts the divine qualities with demonic tendencies, which include arrogance, anger, hypocrisy, cruelty, greed, and delusion. Those dominated by these tendencies are driven by selfish desires, attachment to material gains, and ego-driven actions. Krishna explains that individuals with demonic qualities are deluded and remain trapped in the cycle of samsara, or the cycles of birth and death. Krishna elaborates on the nature of those with demonic tendencies. He explains that they are characterized by pride, arrogance, and a sense of superiority. They engage in actions that harm others and are driven by excessive desires and insatiable greed. Krishna emphasizes that such individuals are disconnected from their higher selves and are prone to suffering due to their self-centeredness. Krishna addresses Arjuna's concerns about the origins of these qualities. He explains that divine qualities arise from a sense of higher purpose, purity of heart, and a deep connection with the divine. Demonic tendencies, on the other hand, originate from ignorance, delusion, and a lack of self-awareness. Krishna underscores that these qualities are inherent to human nature and influence choices and behavior. Krishna emphasizes that those who possess divine qualities experience inner peace, spiritual growth, and harmony with the universe. Such individuals transcend their ego-driven desires and are aligned with the higher purpose of life. They recognize the interconnectedness of all beings and cultivate compassion, humility, and self-discipline. Krishna warns against the allure of demonic tendencies, which lead to destruction and suffering. He explains that individuals dominated by these tendencies experience inner turmoil, dissatisfaction, and conflict in their interactions with others. Krishna urges Arjuna and all seekers to cultivate divine qualities and strive for spiritual growth to attain self-realization and union with the divine. Krishna concludes the chapter by reiterating the importance of discerning one's qualities and aligning with divine virtues. He encourages Arjuna and all seekers to cultivate humility, self-control, compassion, and self-discipline to transcend the ego-driven tendencies of the material world. Krishna guides individuals toward recognizing their true nature, cultivating positive qualities, and progressing on the path to spiritual realization. In summary, Chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita, Daivasura Sampadvibhaga Yoga, explores the contrast between divine virtues and demonic tendencies that shape human behavior and choices. Krishna's teachings emphasize the importance of discerning one's qualities, cultivating positive virtues, and transcending ego-driven tendencies to attain spiritual growth and union with the divine. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward recognizing the qualities that either hinder or foster spiritual evolution, ultimately guiding individuals on the path to self-realization and inner harmony. Chapter 17 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, delves into the concept of faith and its impact on human behavior, actions, and offerings. In this chapter, Lord Krishna discusses the nature of faith, the threefold division of faith, and the effects of faith on one's life journey. The chapter invites readers to reflect on the power of faith, the importance of discernment, and the role of intention in actions and offerings. As the chapter begins, Arjuna inquires about the distinction between various types of offerings, austerity, and charity, seeking to understand their underlying significance and the role of faith in these practices. Arjuna's questions reflect his desire to comprehend the principles that govern righteous actions and the motivations behind offerings. Krishna responds by introducing the concept of faith as a fundamental aspect of human life. He explains that faith is a reflection of one's inner convictions and beliefs, shaping behavior, actions, and offerings. Krishna elucidates the threefold division of faith, categorizing it into three types based on the qualities of individuals: sattvic, virtuous; rajasic, virtuous; rajasic, passionate, ignorant. Krishna describes sattvic faith, which is characterized by purity, selflessness, and devotion. Individuals with sattvic faith offer their actions, offerings, and sacrifices with a sense of duty, without expecting personal gain. Their offerings are made with a pure heart and a desire to please the divine. Krishna explains that sattvic faith leads to spiritual growth and self-realization. Krishna explains rajasic faith, which is driven by desires, ego, and attachment. Individuals with Rajasic faith perform actions and offerings for personal gain, recognition, or the fulfillment of desires. Their offerings are motivated by ambition and the pursuit of material success. Krishna underscores that Rajasic faith is driven by self-centered desires and lacks the purity of intention found in Sattvic faith. Krishna contrasts Tamasic faith, which is marked by ignorance, confusion, and delusion. Individuals with Tamasic faith offer sacrifices and perform actions without understanding their purpose or significance. Their offerings are made without discernment, and their actions lack clarity and direction. Krishna explains that Tamasic faith reflects a lack of awareness and a disconnectedness from the divine. Krishna addresses Arjuna's concerns about the effects of dietary choices on spiritual growth. He explains that food choices influence an individual's state of mind and consciousness. Food that is sattvic in nature, consisting of pure, nourishing, and harmonious substances, promotes clarity, virtue, and spiritual evolution. Food that is rajasic or tamasic, characterized by impurity, spice, and excess, leads to restlessness, passion, and spiritual regression. Krishna emphasizes that the intention behind offerings and actions is of paramount importance. He explains that offerings and actions performed with faith and pure intention, regardless of their external form, are pleasing to the divine. Krishna underscores that cultivating inner purity and selflessness is more significant than the external details of offerings. Krishna addresses Arjuna's curiosity about the significance of chanting the divine syllable Om. He explains that Om represents the eternal sound that transcends time and encompasses the entire universe. Chanting Om with focused attention and devotion helps individuals connect with the divine vibration and attain spiritual enlightenment. Krishna concludes the chapter by reiterating the importance of faith in shaping human behavior and actions. He encourages Arjuna and all seekers to cultivate sattvic faith by performing actions with pure intention and devotion. Krishna emphasizes that cultivating virtuous qualities, offering selfless actions, and practicing discernment are essential for spiritual growth and union with the divine. In summary, Chapter 17 of the Bhagavad Gita, Sradhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, explores the concept of faith and its impact on actions, offerings, and behavior. Krishna's teachings emphasize the importance of faith, the threefold division of faith based on qualities, and the role of intention in offerings. The chapter guides Arjuna and all seekers toward discerning the nature of their faith, cultivating virtuous qualities, and performing selfless actions with pure intention to attain spiritual growth and union with the divine. Chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Moksha Sanyas Yoga, serves as a culmination of the teachings presented in the previous chapters. In this chapter, Lord Krishna provides comprehensive guidance on the various paths of yoga and their relevance to different types of individuals. Krishna addresses Arjuna's remaining doubts and emphasizes the importance of selfless action, devotion, and knowledge as means to attain liberation, moksha. The chapter encapsulates the essence of the Gita's teachings and offers a roadmap for leading a purposeful and spiritually fulfilling life. As the chapter unfolds, Arjuna seeks Krishna's final guidance regarding the most effective path to spiritual growth and liberation. Arjuna's inquiry reflects his readiness to fully comprehend and embrace the teachings imparted by Krishna throughout their discourse on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna begins by outlining the significance of performing actions in accordance with one's duty and dharma. He emphasizes that all actions, when performed selflessly and without attachment to the outcomes, lead to spiritual growth and liberation. Krishna underscores the importance of renouncing the results of actions while fulfilling one's responsibilities. Krishna elaborates on the different paths of yoga, each suited to a particular type of individual based on their nature and inclinations. He describes the path of karma yoga, which involves selfless action, the path of bhakti yoga, which involves devotion and surrender to the divine, and the path of jnana yoga, which involves knowledge and self-realization. Krishna explains that these paths are not mutually exclusive, but interconnected, as individuals can integrate elements of each path according to their disposition. Krishna emphasizes that individuals who are predominantly inclined toward action should practice karma yoga. Those with a devotional nature should engage in bhakti yoga, and those inclined toward knowledge should pursue jnana yoga. He emphasizes that dedicating all actions to the divine and cultivating unwavering devotion or knowledge leads to liberation. Krishna discusses the concept of dharma and its multifaceted nature. He explains that dharma includes duties and responsibilities according to one's social roles and occupations. Krishna underscores the importance of adhering to dharma while pursuing self-realization. He emphasizes that performing actions in accordance with dharma, with a spirit of sacrifice and selflessness, contributes to the well-being of society and the individual's spiritual evolution. Krishna addresses Arjuna's concerns about the nature of renunciation and its role in spiritual growth. He explains that true renunciation is not the abandonment of actions or responsibilities, but the relinquishment of attachment and desires for the outcomes of those actions. Krishna clarifies that a true renunciant is one who is detached from both success and failure, possessing a tranquil mind and a sense of equanimity. Krishna describes the qualities of an enlightened person who has transcended dualities and achieved self-realization. Such an individual remains unperturbed by external circumstances, maintains inner peace, and is free from ego-driven desires. Krishna emphasizes that self-realization leads to a state of inner contentment and liberation. Krishna concludes the chapter by summarizing the essence of his teachings. He underscores the importance of surrendering all actions and outcomes to the divine, cultivating devotion, and acquiring knowledge through self-realization. Krishna encourages Arjuna and all seekers to contemplate and reflect upon his teachings, choose a path of yoga that resonates with their nature, and dedicate themselves to the pursuit of self-realization and liberation. In summary, Chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita, Moksha Sanyas Yoga, presents a comprehensive overview of the various paths of yoga: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga, and their relevance to different types of individuals. Krishna's teachings emphasize the importance of selfless action, devotion, and knowledge in the pursuit of liberation. The chapter provides a holistic understanding of spiritual growth and offers guidance on leading a purposeful life aligned with Dharma, culminating in the attainment of self-realization and liberation from the cycles of birth and death.